Welcome to our viewer mail segment. I guess I'll just start right off with one of our questions.
Hello and welcome to our viewer mail segment. I've got a special guest for viewer mail, Steve Stefanik from In-House Coach. And I'm very happy you're with us today, Steve. Thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I enjoyed having you on last week, and this, you know, we didn't cover all the things we wanted to cover last week, and we're going to have you on again to really delve in. But for those that are watching for the first time and didn't see last week's show, give us a quick background of your story, and then we'll get into some very interesting topics.
Sure. Well, I'm an executive life coach, and so I help people transition through some of the major things that they may be facing, whether it's career, relationship, or even that quest to really find our purpose, right? And so that's the area I play. I bring to the table the 15 years of sales, 10 years of the corporate world, and about 20 years of continuing education. I'm really passionate about learning and growing and developing, not only to help me out, but to help others out as I learn these new great techniques that are emerging in the world.
Well, that's wonderful. And from the last segment you just heard, you can see that I have a certain passion and drive about it as well.
Yes, I can see that.
So what are some of the insights you've learned as a coach that you'd like to share?
Yeah, part of what I work with people is around the breakdowns that they face. And typically my client that I work with is between 40 and 60, and they're in that midlife stage. Mm-hmm. And what I'm faced with when I'm talking to some of these folks is we're looking at three key areas. The first one is burnout. Sometimes people get burned out and they need some help to recover their center, recover their passion, their energy. The second is they're out of balance, right? That's a key area that you run into in this age bracket, because they've been working so hard to produce the career, make the money, and then all of a sudden it's like everything else is kind of falling apart. And then the third one is called at capacity. That means that they've reached a plateau, but there's another plateau they want to get to, and they haven't figured out how to transcend that. And so as a life coach and a business coach and executive coach, I can go in there and help them solve those problems.
That's very interesting. As you're talking, I'm internalizing, trying to look at, well, what are some of the things that may be barriers of my own? But this, we'll have to talk off camera. This isn't a time for us. But why don't we talk about like the three principles you see as a core?
Yeah. So I'm going to start out with this thing called the 3 Ps: your purpose, your passion, and your power. I think when we're dealing with people in their midlife, those are the three things that I think need to come together in a way that it empowers them to really do what the second half of their life is all about. So purpose is really finding that purpose that you can stand in, right? In a way that this is my calling, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what God has sent me here on this planet to do, if you want to talk about God. Sure. The second is passion. So once you have your purpose, you have to invoke the energy, the fire, the excitement, the pizzazz to really get that purpose to take off. Right. And that's your passions. And so everybody has passions, but sometimes they don't connect the two, right? But when you do connect the two, they come together, and that's the tremendous power. It's an unstoppable power. When you really bring your passion and your unique gifts into your purpose, watch out.
Yeah, when you align them all, there's just such singular focus, or even more than just singular, but there's just such a focus to achieve all that life has for you.
Yes. And it's very exciting. So when I work with people, when we start to play in those 3 domains, they really start to come alive. But then this is the second area that I've come across in all the different clients that I work with. It's called limiting beliefs. And Steve talked about this a little bit. What are the stories that are holding us back? So as we step into our purpose, we bring our passion with us, we're trying to invoke that power. What happens? A story comes up and shuts us down. And the story can live in 3 different areas. As a somatic coach, I work with people's bodies. So our bodies are a reservoir of all of our experiences. And sometimes they'll come up and they'll shut us down. I mean, we won't be able to step out the door if we know that we've been triggered, right? The other is our focus or our mood. Sometimes we're in the wrong mood, and when we see the world, it's all bad. We can shift our mood like that. And the third area that we look at is the language, how people are describing things. So when I'm working with limiting the beliefs, I'm looking at all 3 of those variables and helping the client see that there is possibility to change all 3 of those to really produce that purpose, the passion, and the power.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. And the last thing,
I'm feeling inspired.
I like it. I like when I
love
inspire.
this. Keep going. Keep going.
And the last one that I've recognized, and this is a key fundamental, is practices. So what are you doing in order to get to that next level, right? There's a teacher I used to have, and his name was Richard Strozzi Heckler. He came up with, you are your practices. So you can look at someone and see what they do every day, and that's who they are. So here's the secret, though. You can change your practices and change your life. So when we start running into those limiting beliefs, one of the ways to get out of those is to build new practices around people to allow them to step into a new game, which is their purpose.
I'm sure as you see people do this, they find themselves looking over their shoulder and say, I remember that used to be my barrier, and now it's behind me.
Yes.
It must be very rewarding, but it must be awesome.
It's rewarding for me, but it's very powerful for them.
Yes.
Right? That these things that have held them, these stories that were so fixed, like held them back, have now been broken, and they're stepping in a new place. Now, this isn't a process, especially for midlife, that takes, it doesn't happen overnight.
It takes a while.
It takes a while, and that's where practices are so important. The recurrence, just like an athlete that we've seen on the Olympics, over and over and over and over, and all of a sudden, they're world champions, and you can be that as well.
Exactly. World champion in your own life.
I love it.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate this, and I look forward to having you on the show with more frequency to share this message for people. I think it would be wonderful.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks so much, Steve. Well, I hope you enjoyed this segment. I hope you enjoyed the show. In particular, focus on what are those things. Identify the limiting beliefs you have. Focus on what you want. Think about what your goals are. And if you're not able to achieve them by yourself, it may be the time for you to reach out to someone like Steve or someone like him and find a way to unlock those doors. An unbelievable life is waiting for you. Thanks for being with us. On behalf of all of my guests, thanks for being with us. Go do something special for someone who's not expecting it. We'll see you soon. See you next week. Bye-bye. Good stuff.
Nice. Thank you.